let's get into the book. We're wrapping up Mr. Henry's selection, which is Until Proven Safe, The History and Future of Quarantine, written by Geoff Manaugh and Nicola Twilley. Hopefully I'm pronouncing these two authors' last name correctly. So we have quite a few questions this week. Some directed at me. I see my Black Zeus,
Not
but
just inspired by you.
Inspired by me. This book was interesting. So let's get into it. And let's work in reverse order as they come in. So we'll start off with Black Zeus. Seemingly he's going to have a lot to say. All right, so in chapter 5, what did Dr. Cheeselock, I thought it was Cheeselock, but Cheeselock, mean when he says, we're trying to build a plane while flying it. And I do remember this conversation, and I chuckled when you quoted that. All right, fellas, do you guys need me to repeat that question again, or are we good to go forward with that?
I would just thought it was interesting. He used my same exact analogy. I was like,
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, we're trying to build a plane while flying it. It's just more so we're learning the rules as the time is going on. I don't know. The one thing that popped into my head off the bat when I saw this question was the fact that the CDC cut this freaking
Guideline?
quarantine and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, I actually went on a little hike the other day, and I was talking to this little old white dude about it. And he was saying that it's not really based on science. It's based on more so like statistics.
Well, statistics could be it is science. I was going to give a different explanation.
That's what he says that they're basing it on, though. Like the average person is, asymptomatic or gets over in this amount of time. But I don't know, man. Just thinking about the rules, not really going too in depth with what my district's policies are. But, if you're vaccinated, the rules are fucking totally different as far as even having to quarantine at all. So it's just like, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, the plane that they're building is really one that's going to be, that they're trying to make beneficial for society in the sense of keeping the economy going, whatever works from that standpoint, not necessarily in the best interest of, people's health per se, just like whatever seems like is going to make the most money.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. And when it comes to the terminology, and I remember this conversation, and I think we discussed, argued, debated, whatever term you want to use for quite a bit of time. For me, I'm more of a literal person. So I understand the philosophy of we're trying to build a plane while flying it, meaning like you're being introduced to a situation where there's no other precedent for it. So therefore the rules we're going to have unorthodox rules to mitigate any catastrophic event. I totally get that. I think for me,
a bill.
Huh?
Give it a ding.
Yeah, I get it. No, like I totally get it. I think for me, it comes to a point in which, as data is coming in, and as other certified credentialed people come in and chime in, I think that's when you should be able to have more logical, sound decision making. In the initial beginning, I do understand there's going to be a lot of questions, and I do understand that things might not ultimately make sense in the beginning. But for me, I feel like there comes a point where more sound decisions to be made, because when you reference Cheeselock, Dr. Cheeselock's that particular situation, the follow-up behind that was there were people who were asking questions about like, yo, I get you wanting us to be medically quarantined, but who's going to pay for these medical costs? And the authors presented that situation as a valid concern because, people can't be quarantined forever. People got to live lives. They got to live their lives. And when you have people trying to adhere to somewhat chaotic rules and their livelihood is being impacted, it comes to a point like, okay, I get the whole chaos in the beginning, but there has to be some sort of normalcy that needs to come in at some point.
I can agree with most of what you said, but I think the fact of, and I can agree with most of what Kel said, except the only thing is that we're getting ideals mixed up with reality. Because the reality is people need an income. People need food, clothing, shelter. They need power, electricity. They need all these things to be stable in order for them to quarantine in place.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do that, some people are going to have to work. Some people are going to have to be on the front line. Those people are going to need to get paid while they're on the front line. And then other systems that are set in place that are, kind of like, unstoppable, can't be put on pause, can't be put on hold. So it's a messy situation where in a scientific lab, you can freeze things, put things on hold, stop things, whatever case is. But in society and human behavior as well, there's no pause, there's no hold. It's unidealistic in reality. So we have a hot mess because we're trying to get the scientists, medical professionals, the medical industry facilities, and everything else in line with the government and the city, the people, so forth, so on. So you're trying to balance this out and make everybody happy while trying to keep everybody safe. And the thing is, the fact that our country is based off of the freedom of choice, the liberty to do as you will, as long as it causes no harm to others. And the thing with that is that gives everybody a voice. And just like if there's 4 of us right now, we're all speaking at the same time because we all have a voice, it doesn't get us anywhere. We have to have some sort of law and order to keep things going and say, okay, one voice at a time, and we validate each idea as they come along. And we are allowed to scrutinize each idea as they come along. But once, those ideas have been validated and scrutinized, you can't keep beating the horse, with a dead, you can't keep beating the dead horse with a stick.
Exactly. I agree. I can't disagree with that. I think that last part I would love to emphasize is the scrutiny part. And obviously there's other questions I could kind of come back to this. It's just like, when had this sort of pandemic allowed for intellectual scrutiny to come in? But Smith, go ahead, brother. I didn't mean to.
No, that was fine because you all summed that up pretty much. I had an article that I was telling Kelly about. I just sent it to you all.
In the chat?
No, I sent it on the text, through text.
Okay.
But it was basically talking about, it said, Dr. Fauci was talking to CNN, and he said that with the sheer volume of new cases that they're having and that they expect to continue with this Omicron, one of the things that they want to be careful of is that they don't have so many people out. Kind of what Black Zeus was just saying. They don't want to have all these people out. So we added that if you are asymptomatic and you are infected, they want to get people back to work. So they do want to have this kind of structure of, I know the virus is out there, but we need y'all to be working, because if y'all not working, then ain't nothing happening and we ain't really coming out of this. So it is a kind of damn if you do, damn if you don't kind of thing, I guess.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But go ahead. My apologies. Go ahead. Continue.
No, what were you going to ask?
No, because then that logic could have been applied a year ago.
But that logic could have been applied. However, there were different circumstances. They let the politics overrule the science.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just like I felt like all of 2020, before the vaccine became readily available, I get shut down. There was no medicine whatsoever to alleviate the deaths, the hospitalization, the severe illness, any of that. I think once the vaccine became readily available and as people were getting vaccinated, I understand that the thresholds weren't met. I just felt like you couldn't have a society on pause for that long. It's not simply, taking a piece out of, I don't know, a house or something or a car and simply putting that same piece back in and you think you have a functioning house or a functioning car readily that easy. The economy is a weird ecosystem. And to get it started, to get it up starting again is going to take some time. And we're seeing the effects of it now, like in regards of when you go dining out or you go anywhere, and how businesses are either having to shut their business down or they're having to work short staff. And, we have all the logistic issues happening with shipment. And it's just like, we can't, these were concerns that I was having months before Dr. Fauci, based on a snippet article that you had about. It seemed like Dr. Fauci was dense in the head, not realizing like, this is what some people were arguing all this fucking time.
That's true.
People were arguing this shit this entire time.
But here's the thing: you're confusing Dr. Fauci with the government. Any doctor is only going to act like a doctor.
But he didn't act like a doctor in the statement.
Hold on. Let me show what I'm saying.
Hey, go ahead.
When a doctor says to you, "Hey, you need to take a couple of days off from work because you're sick," whatever the case may be, X, Y, and Z. That doctor does not know that, hey, the days you don't go to work, you don't get paid. Your rent is due. You got kids that have got to go to school. This, that. Like, he's just giving you orders, medical orders. That's it.
Yeah.
How it happens after that is on you. And that's the thing. The fact that beyond the prescription written by Dr. Fauci, everything else is government. Everything else is how the government handles it, which Dr. Fauci has no power over. He's simply basically an advisory.
So why did he chime in recently with the statement that Smith just shared with us, where he's echoing sentiments of the economy being a concern? If he's just a doctor, why is he basically willing, him and the CDC are willing to basically half the quarantine, the timeline, with an economic concern versus a scientific medical concern?
Because the whole thing is, once again, because of politics involved. In politics, you always need a scapegoat, because once again, he has no power over any of these things. You know who does have power over these things? Congress, the president, the people who have to get elected and reelected. So it's easier to throw a Fauci underneath the bus because you don't have to worry about him getting elected or reelected because he gets appointed, And these other guys, they want to get reelected. So they would rather, if shit go wrong, hey, blame it on him. He was the one that told us to do X, Y, and Z. It's not our fault.
And that's true. Everyone needs a scapegoat, but I just feel like being that Dr. Fauci is being the scapegoat now. He's being thrown underneath the bus because this statement does not make him look good.
No, it doesn't. But that's what comes with the job.
Yeah, but my thing is, that's this same conclusion that he's having now. Many people were making echoing the same concern months ago, and this is where
once again, does he have power over that part? He can say it either way. Does he actually have any authority or power to pull a switch to make shit happen?
Well, the thing is, he kind of does have some power, because if he's basically dictating when quarantines are,
if he's dictating from 10 days to 5 days,
he has power. That's power. When you're saying like the quarantine is basically half now, so that people could return back to work, and you're shifting the guidelines, that's power.
Yeah, that is power.
No, it's not, because here's the thing: every state. So, for instance, just to show you how there's no power, if you go to Hakeem and Kelvin's school, they're going virtual, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go to my wife's school, they're fully in person. If you go to my son's school, it's half days all this week. So it's like, if there was one law and order, if there was one voice that had complete total power, then you would see one consistency, but you don't see that.
But that's a different set of guidelines and policy. But everyone is still
back to the free will of America, though.
You know what?
I'll pause. Go ahead, Kel or Smith.
No, just with that train of thought, Fauci may say, "All right, guys, this is, these are rules should you choose to follow them." And at the end of the day, the fucking states have the right, to say, "Okay, we're going to implement this here or implement that there." So just in case y'all niggas want to fucking follow these rules, that's what we're going to do. When they made the change to 3 feet, Newark didn't adopt that right away. We were still doing 6 feet at first. So we had that fucking option. So I mean, the nigga does have the power to fucking, set the standard, but that doesn't mean niggas gotta follow the shit.
Whoa. No.
Power, it's influence.
It is power, because at the end of the day, Kel, what you can't do, like, there's federal and state laws. Obviously, your state laws can't oversee the federal laws, but it could be more strict. Meaning, when Dr. Fauci implemented, or the CDC implemented a 6 feet guideline, and they reduced it to 3, you could keep yours at 6. But what you couldn't do is say, you know what, fuck the 3, fuck the 6, we're gonna do 1 feet.
Yeah.
That's power still. Like, you still you still adhere to a guideline. You just didn't have a looser guideline. You had a more strict guideline.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. It's similar to, like, there's federal securities that you could trade and there's state securities you could trade. There are different rules, but what the state security can't do is be more lax than the federal securities.
Okay, so what federal law was passed during this time?
Well, a mandate.
Which mandate? What was the
recently
mandate?
Joe Biden passed a federal mandate.
Yeah,
basically
Joe Biden passed one, but we're talking about during
Fauci,
during the entire 2020. During the entire 2020, that was what the argument was. Like, all the rules.
But the thing is, while you might say influence is also considered power, like mobsters would say, like, if you were, I don't know, John Gotti, and you were trying to approach another town, you could influence or, like, nudge a nearby drug dealer and say, yo, I want this to happen. That's power.
Okay.
Influence is considered power.
I will concede to that there in influence there is power, but I'm thinking of power in a more absolute. And the whole thing is when speaking of when it seems like the inference that I'm getting, that when you're speaking of the power that Fauci has, it sounds like it's absolute when it's not.
Nah, it's influence.
Yeah,
okay.
More influence.
All right. As long as we clear, in our definition.
But that still shows that there's some power when you're going from that 10 to 5, and it's not based on no science. And it still have people around, people talk about the asymptomatic, and you ain't giving it. But then you got this other little piece that's in there, Black Zeus. Well, it depends on how you feel. What do you mean? If it depends on how I feel, then I need to be out for 10 days. If it depends on how I feel, you know what I mean? If you're saying, 5 days, I should be feeling better. But if I'm not feeling better, now you're harassing me to come back to work, even though I'm not feeling better. Because you're saying, well, the guidelines said you should.
Yeah, but if the CDC says that you got to take the time, like, hey, that's the shit that you stand on.
Yeah.
Like, whether my job is saying X, Y, and Z, and I feel you, Smith. Even if niggas, like, I don't know how it's been at your job, Smith. We had one of the employees, she was out for like 2 straight months. So, like, and nobody's questioning.
There's 10 principles right now with COVID, bruh.
Yeah, but again, that's up to, like, look, that's to each his own. If your job feels like, okay, we want to pressure you into coming back, and then niggas be like, yo, I'm not coming back because niggas say that I don't have to and I know how the fuck I feel. I mean, and then your job decides they want to do some dirty shit and, fire you for another reason. You know what I mean? Like, yo,
that bullshit.
That's just what they choosing. But,
yeah,
my right says, according to Fauci or whoever the fuck it says, the fucking science says, this is what the fuck I need. And if I need longer, like, I don't know. I feel like, niggas have taken advantage of this fucking whole pandemic situation in certain ways. As far as, financially and not fucking going to work and shit, I don't really feel like, and I could be naive, but I don't really feel like niggas have taken advantage of the shit to the point where it's like, nigga, I know that I can say I'm sick for 10 days, but I'm going to fucking take 20 and pretend like I'm sick in that aspect. So, like, if a nigga saying they need them days off, the bosses is fucked up to be like, nah, nigga, you got to come back to work. Like, let the nigga live.
It's still back to that catch-22.
Yeah, I was about to say it's
still back to that catch-22. So, for instance, my wife's school only has 150 staff members. 60 of them are out with COVID. So obviously, you can't run the school too efficiently when more than 1/3 of the staff members aren't even available. All right. So now you have to shut down the school. right? Because it's not safe to operate. You can't operate well.
Yeah.
Now the problem is these kids have to go home. These kids have to be home, and mind you, the kids that my wife deal with are autistic, so they can't be home alone. They need 24-hour supervision.
Yeah.
So now parents have to take days off from work.
Mm-hmm.
Now those parents work, let's say, at your grocery store, at your PSE&G, at your cable company, your phone company, the repairman that needs to come fix the plumbing at your house, this, that, and the other. So it becomes a domino effect
But
on society.
But with that effect, though, they have made a lot of ways for parents to be able to have their kids in what's called safe havens, a safe spot, so the parent can still go to work. And they've had that pretty much throughout the whole pandemic. So that excuse doesn't really hold too much weight.
Okay, so what's this? So
I mean, you can drop your kid off at a school. Like right now, we got these safe spaces. So when our schools are not in session, basically, we're going to be virtual. If you need to go to work, they have places where you can take your child and they still be in a school setting.
But here's my thing. What about the parents I specifically mentioned to you that are, autistic? These kids are violent. These kids have behavioral.
No, but what I'm saying is they have a space for them, though. That's what I'm saying. They have a space for them. So
I have not heard of this space. I don't think my wife has heard of this space. There may be
I don't know if they got it up there.
Hey,
wait. I'm speaking to North.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they got it there.
Oh, okay. So you make it sound like it's a problem.
Oh no, I didn't say it was a. I'm saying, but they do have. I don't know if they have them in their area, but they do have those spaces where they made it set up to where the parent can still get to work because they did realize that there were a lot of frontline workers that was basically coming from the impoverished neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then the kids are home. But it's still like catch-22 because even though you're saying it's a safe space, this isn't a regular environment. Do I want to put my kid over there? Mm-hmm. So I get all that, as a parent, I will push back, I get that part too.
At the end of the day, none of it is ideal.
None of it is ideal. There you go, Black.
No one has an ideal solution. We are building the plane as we're flying it. Mm-hmm. Next question.
Yo, the only.
I get that. I'm just saying, at some point, the scrutiny has to come in, and I think Dr. Fauci had his epiphany last week when he realized whether it's under his own influence or the influence of government that at some point the economy needs to be functioning again. And I'm looking at this shit like, well, you kind of fucking too late. These businesses.
Wait. Well, let me tell you, because you didn't get the whole piece, and I was going to send the whole piece to you. It came right after the flight debacles.
The thousands of flights that fucking canceled. Yeah.
That's when it came. That's when
yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We need y'all to go back to work.
Yeah, it was like 2,000 flights that was canceled that weekend, Smith.
And that's when it came.
That shit was crazy.
Right as that came out, that's how it happened. So I needed to preface it with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just like, go ahead, Smith. I mean, Henry.
I got an unpopular fucking theory about how we can end this shit. Everybody just take their fucking mask off, and whatever happens, fucking happens.
I will get there. Next question.
We're going straight to the purge, huh?
We're going straight to the purge.
Straight to the purge. All
right, we're going to stick to chapter 5 because I thought you and I, Black Zeus, found chapter 5 fascinating. So I did have a question about what was mentioned. So in chapter 5, the authors discuss how other nations compensated their citizens to get the most effective and desired measures to have folks to buy into quarantine guidelines. Do you believe the U.S. government did their best to compensate individuals and businesses to ensure effective quarantine measures? Now, this could be anecdotal, or if you guys have any other factual evidence, but what do you think how the U.S. did to help with quarantine measures?
The stimulus checks, the rent moratoriums, the mortgage, all of that. I think that was, even though long-term, it's not going to be a great effect, but I thought that was definitely great incentive for people to quarantine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only ones who got the shit into the stick at all of this was the fucking landlords. I think those are the only niggas who they didn't really look out for. But everybody else.
True story.
And then I'm sorry, I was going to say this and then you go. The only thing I think that they also need
need to have done a better job with also is just, I mean, I don't know that they would have known it, but maybe moving forward is like a fucking plan for when it's time for niggas to go back to work. Like, y'all niggas can't be just fucking milking this shit like this. Like, that's the only part that was missing. Like, yo, the only way y'all niggas get this stimulus is if y'all fucking sign this shit that says when it's time to go back to work, you're physically able to. Y'all niggas gotta go the fuck back.
Well, I don't
or just the fact of they should have said
their best. I don't think they did their best.
After quarantine was over, they should have been like, no stimulus, period. Done.
Yeah, but I think
go ahead, Smith.
I don't think they did best. Because you got to remember that even with the stimulus checks, there were
contingencies.
There was contingencies. People were getting voided, so it wasn't hitting every American. So it wasn't an easy thing. You still had those who got, and then you had those who didn't. At the end of the day, we were talking about a war not too long ago and how billions of dollars were just wasted and left. So America could have did a lot better, I think. This is fucking America. You know what I mean? And I do like the fact that what Black Zeus was saying, like that contingency as far as signing your name, or Henry said that. But I think what they could have also done was it could have been a very simple thing where, all right, we're giving you this money. And yes, when it's time to go back to work, it's time to go back to work. I mean, at the end of the day, people in the headspace wasn't right also. So it's some other shit that got to go on. But I would say that somehow you attach it to now your taxes, motherfucker. If you ain't going in to do the right, like, all right, we just fronted you the money because you don't get that now because you don't want to go to work, so you don't get that money. You know what I mean? Like somehow you set it up to where, like, we know in America ain't shit free, even when it's free. You know, somebody going to be paying for it, and most times it's going to probably be our class of citizen. So. But yeah, that's what I think. I think America could have did better though, especially for businesses, man. I think what happened was they allowed too many people to, be fraudulent. You know how America is, and too many people were being fraudulent, and it fucked other people over. And then it was like, okay, we're going to shut this portal down, and you can't get money for your business because this guy decided he wanted to steal money, for a fake rapping company, and then put his shit online and show that he's getting stimulus checks.
Buying Lamborghinis.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Niggas making fake gift wrapping companies, bro?
Yeah, gift wrapping company.
Man, it was a whole bunch. You got Drip Records. It was so many fraudulent shit that came out of, and it's still going to be revealed as time goes on. These cats are going to federal jail. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Nah, they got something going on right now where they said if you come forward, then you won't get charged, but you.
Oh, really?
Amnesty.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Lock them up. I remember seeing on the Donkey of the Day some chick with she's like, oh, please help me, y'all, on GoFundMe. The government's coming after me for $20,000 I got off of what do you call it? The business thing, SBA loans and this, that, and the other. I can't go to jail, y'all. I got 2 kids. Lock that bitch up.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the other part too, Black Zeus. Like the small businesses, they weren't getting that money. So they were folding. A lot of small businesses closed, but you got your Amazons and your fucking big ass companies getting all of the PPP loans that they don't even need, and they get
that's what it was.
All this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what was fucking it up too. Like it was it was basically like, yo, I got an opportunity to make a lot of money off of the situation. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I Smith, you took a lot of my talking points. I love that the fact that these authors really touched on to really incentivize effective quarantining, you need to really properly compensate people because you can't, it's human reaction or human nature to say, I get that there's a virus out here, but I need to make a fucking living, you know? And if governments are really going to try to put health measures in place and try to ensure the safety of people, we really need to do a better job in making sure that people are taken care of. And when it comes to the United States, you know, I've been trying to do my research on this. Like the United States ranked relatively high when it comes to cash incentives out there, but like to what Smith is pointing out, the way that money was doled out was some bullshit. You know, there were just way too many contingencies in regards to who got the money. As Henry pointed out, you know, landlords getting this, you know, the end of the stick. Then when they try to do something for the landlords, they got to go through all these fucking hoops and circles to fucking try to get some sort of release and compensation for that. Then it was just like, you know, for those of, it's just the list goes on and on. But like, you know, I have an insider article up here, and when you look at how other countries, and I'm just gonna try to point to the headlines, like they really looked out for their citizens, like really looked out for their citizens. So like when you think about how other nations,
like which countries,
like Spain set to establish a permanent basic income for poor residents. Meaning,
okay,
you know,
how big is Spain in comparison to the United States?
Population wise, let's look into it.
Well, up to 1 million families going to receive that money. I mean, you got to think about this though, Black Zeus. All this shit that we said where they keep having these pilot programs where they're going to give motherfuckers $850 a month or give motherfuckers.
But those are through private institutions. Those are
no. I understand that, but I'm still saying this is America, and as America, we can generate whatever we want to generate. You know.
Well, the PPP program, while that was distributed by a private institution, that was a government program, really. Like the government did basically, like the government basically dictated to the banks, like, yo, you guys, we'll get you on the back end, but could you guys distribute this income? And I just think that when you really think about how to effectively have people quarantining, and you look at how other nations really dealt with the cash incentive programs that are out there, I just think that America ranked, despite the total value, I think America ranked poorly when it comes to like developed nations. Like we did a horrible job, and like the whole PPP, like while we talk about the scandals, like Smith pointed out, that's why I say you took all my talking points. There was a lot of small businesses that got the shaft, man. It was just like, it was crazy. It's you know, so you got landlords.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And even the CARES Act, there was stuff that was in the bill of the CARES Act that had nothing to do with coronavirus relief. Like, yo, I'm like, how does foreign aid to fucking XYZ bumblefuck country have to do with American people here?
Because
like,
this is why I keep saying this is America. We can write anything. And in these bills they would write, they were like, okay, we'll sign that for this if we can get another fucking highway to nowhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what they were doing. Like, okay, this is a big bill we're about to write. We want to get paid too. Like I said, this is America. We got too much money in America. I'm never going to forget that ever. This is fucking America. There's too much money in America. They print that shit. They print it and they say when it, and yeah. So what? We going into what the hell we going through right now?
A pandemic?
Not the pandemic.
Pandemic or the deficit?
The deficit.
Deficit,
not the deficit. Inflation. So we're going through another inflation rate. Yeah, you're going to keep making the dollar worth nothing, but at the end of the day, you can still print the money. You know what I mean?
But if you're printing
pay for the people, not for the war.
The tissue.
Well, no. If I'm saying this though, Black Zeus, pay for the people, not the wars, bro. Pay for the people, not the wars. We just watched that shit where we watch how much money they waste. Like, this is America. We know how much money America wastes. So to spend it to do something that it will actually benefit the people, the countrymen of America, I don't think that's too far-fetched. I do understand this is America, and we don't want to bail all the citizens out because we don't want to have an equal playing field, because why would we ever want that? You know what I mean? So I get it.
I don't know. I have a hard time buying into that, only because of the fact of, if you look at the way Americans live in comparison to other places such as Spain or such as any other part of Europe, this, that, and the other, the level of materialism, the level of the idiocracy of it all.
I get that part.
It is mind blowing. It's like, well, I don't want to spend my couple $100 a month on things that are going to be beneficial to me, that are available to me, such as eating better, going to a gym, or anything like that. You know, I'll spend pennies on the dollar for that, but I'll spend top dollar for these Nikes because they fresh. I'll spend top dollar on these earbuds because they the new hot thing. And it's just like, I don't know if I can have pity for a country that, even if you gave them every resource
That's
possible,
not the whole country.
But hold up.
it's not the whole
But the
country.
thing is, why are we penalizing the U.S. The American citizens when the U.S. government, as Smith pointed out, has spent trillions of dollars on a fucking war that amounted to nothing? This is
No,
like
I'm not saying penalize. I'm saying the fact of, even if you gave the people the perfect economic situation, I think they'd piss it away anyway. That's what I'm saying.
But I think you set them up with that situation, and then you see, and you can say, hey, we all had the same. We all started off with this 500. You decided to piss yours away. Now there will be all of the, the people who have the dependency issues and all this other shit, but that's another thing. But if you start off on the same playing field, on an equal playing field, it might be better. And that whole pandemic thing, like, this guy got money, but you didn't get money. But if you ain't have a kid, you only got this amount. But if you got 18 kids, then you get,
I don't know, because here's the thing: when I hear people on social services that get kicked out of an apartment that they were paying $10 a month in rent on, I'm like, miss me the bullshit.
No. I understand, because I have a friend that was paying $36, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck you mean you can't pay your rent, motherfucker? Like, I get all that. What? I get those situations, but again, that's still not the whole of us as a country.
It's not the whole. It's not the whole. I'm not saying it's the whole. I'm just saying the fact of, I don't think you would necessarily get this ideal situation that we're speaking of.
No, I don't know.
But the thing is, for me, it's just a matter of how to effectively get people to adhere to basically shut down measures. Like, you can't have people out here struggling, because, well, I was fortunate to still remain employed. And while most first line essential workers that was, still capable of working, there are a lot of jobs that were just left dangling with no compensation in sight, having to rely on a shady, questionable PPP practice loan that didn't get to people in quick enough time in many cases. And like right here, the Netherlands. Now, I understand you might say, well, how large is the population of the Netherlands? But to my retort, as Smith pointed out, is if we could spend trillions of dollars on unnecessary wars, we could help out the American people. Like here in the Netherlands, the government paid up to 90% of workers' salaries. 90% of workers' salaries, bro. You think like that could have easily been done here? I'm trying to find this video of this worker, this owner in Michigan. This video went viral, but they must have taken it down because of the controversy surrounding it. The dude said, yo, I will have no business shutting my business down if the state of Michigan have given me the proper funds. But no, they haven't. So therefore, I'm going to continue to operate my business.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can't expect people to just simply shut down their way of living if you're just not going to properly compensate them. And when you really look at how the United States didn't do that, I don't fault people going about their business as status quo.
Well, you got to remember,
how do you
are not in your situation.
Let me ask you a question.
Wait, let me say this right quick, Black Zeus. A lot of people not in any of our situations, and I said that about our kids. Like, I got students that they can't go into a backyard. You know what I mean? And there's 5 people in an apartment or 7 or 8 people in an apartment. They don't have those lifestyles that we have. You all were able to, even if you did get fucked up, you got a surplus of money right now. You know what I mean? We're different in that respect. And that's what it's not the whole of America, but everybody's not different like that. And we can pull on a 6 to 12 month reserve without an issue. You know what I mean? Because we understand that we need to put ourselves in that position. But it's not everybody. And I'm saying for the people, it's not like if you are out of your job and you have just 2 kids to feed and you lost your job, like you said, where am I getting this income? I didn't have nothing for a rainy day. Or I might have had 1 month.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
Now I can kind of work for fucking 24 months. What the hell?
I'm not disagreeing, but what I'm saying is, you just pointed out the fact of what I'm trying to say is that everybody's lifestyle is not the same.
Yes.
One person's, so the business owner in Michigan who may be living at a $20,000 a month lifestyle to keep his, 18, his let's say his 8-bedroom house, pay his mortgage there and this, that, and the other is not the same struggle as the single mother living in a 1-bedroom apartment with her 2 kids.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, you might say, okay, we're going to give everybody the amount that single mother needs to take care of her 2 kids and pay her for her apartment. But now the guy who's living in the 8-bedroom house by himself is like, that's not going to pay my bills. I can't get by with that. I need my business to run. So is it really so much of the government fucked him, or is that he is in a situation that, that is not necessarily a matter of survival? It's more of a matter of luxury.
No, he's in
because
a,
the whole thing
he's in
a lot of Americans
greed.
Mix up survival or mix up luxury with survival.
Look, you shut anybody down for 12 months with no ability to make income, anyone's fucked.
Nobody got shut down for 12 months though.
Huh?
Who got shut down for 12 months?
Most businesses got shut down for damn near 12 months. If you can't run,
businesses got shut down for 3 months. But the whole thing is the comeback has not been so great because people are afraid to go out and purchase. No, because now you're overlooking the restrictions. Because let's say I'm a business owner, I own a restaurant. Okay, you gave me the ability. First off, when they were shut down. Then when they were able to resume, let's say I own a restaurant. Okay, I can only do takeout. Then when I was able to do indoor dining, I could do it at certain capacity. Mm-hmm. Dog, if my business was never really structured for that sort of low limited capacity, then I'm going to be fucked. No business was going to thrive in 12 months of doing that. Okay, so let's say
go ahead, Henry. We haven't heard from Henry.
At the end of the day, who would have ended up getting fucked if the business owners decided to be some assholes would have been the landlords. Like, nigga, I'm just not gonna pay my rent. I'm not gonna pay my rent. I'm gonna fucking live off. I'm making less profits.
That's a moratorium. I'm not gonna pay it.
Yeah, I gotta eat.
So let's play out the scenario as is. You have a restaurant. It seats 50 people. All right. Now a big restaurant, small restaurant. Maybe people are 2 feet apart, 3 feet apart, whatever the case may be. There's no restrictions. We just come back from pandemic. That we're not even done with the pandemic. We're going into a second wave. But you know what? You got no restrictions, no holding you back whatsoever. People come to your restaurant. They start getting sick. They're not going to keep coming back to your restaurant if they're getting sick. Your employees are getting sick. Now they can't come. So doesn't that still end you up in the same position?
Well, no.
I missed the part.
But hold up. But that's something different, though. Yeah. What we're talking about is proper compensation for businesses, and I'm saying there's no business that's going to survive harsh restriction. What I'm saying is, the proper thing that could have been done is the U.S. government doing a more effective, diligent way of distributing those funds. That was my question for this.
I think
Black Zeus, there was an amount. No, you're trying to say there was an amount, but there wasn't an amount for me to bail you out because you was already in the hole for 6 months. You understand? Yeah. Like that. Exactly. I think that's the part that people be looking at like, well, no, I was in debt more. No, we're not bailing you out of your debt. We're taking care of you during the pandemic. It's a difference. Yes. Yeah. It's a difference. We're not bailing you out of your fucking debt. We're not going to pay your rent for 12 months because you didn't pay it for the last 2 years. And you trying to do this court thing. We're not doing that. We're taking care of you during the pandemic time. So anything outside of that, we're not responsible for.
And just so you know, one, statistically, most businesses fail in the first 5 years.
Yes.
Restaurants are what the highest rate of turnover. The highest rate of turnover.
Science deciphering the unknown. This was mostly from chapter 9, chapter 8, I believe, right, where they were talking about explanatory, planets and stuff like that. I don't know, man. A lot of things come from these sort of advancements of let me rephrase that. a lot of our advanced technology today that regular day-to-day citizens do find joys and pleasures from comes from like NASA doing their sort of explanatory missions and stuff like that. So I get it, that there are dangers to it, but then there are pros when you talk about today's technology that we do enjoy on the day-to-day that comes from NASA doing what they do. So I don't know. There's a pro and a con to that.
I think more so bringing back foreign objects from other planets is more so risky than other countries. Most times when you're doing other countries, they ask you to claim the stuff you bring in, and you can't bring certain fruits or vegetables or certain things.
Yeah.
They don't want to mix it up. But I think we still on that slope where we don't know much about space and dealing with planets and bringing stuff back from Mars and things like that. Because the other part was that we actually put something on Mars. We put microbes on little water creatures on Mars. So we put shit on Mars. Mm-hmm. We don't know what that effect is going to be. But I don't think we should bring shit back. I think that'll always have a great potential for quarantine. You don't know how that's going to affect people. You know what I mean?
Schubert, this is my question, bro. I'm going last. Schubert always be trying to go last.
I'm trying to determine.
No, I got you. No, I'll jump in. I'm just fucking with you. Unless you got some, Schubert.
I mean, honestly, I'm torn because on one side, I want to see progress. On the other side, progress doesn't come without taking chances.
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly it.
See, I find
guess what? That progress could be done on the space station. That shit ain't got to be brought back to Earth. I'm just saying.
But it could be a mineral that
space stations have limited resources.
Exactly.
Right. They got to build more. There's a lot of countries build more. But
I'm saying, but what if there's a
that's not most times, hey, bro, that's how this COVID shit got out. Y'all keep going to experiment with shit, like not for nothing. This is how this shit creates.
You're absolutely right. But what if something out of space has a mineral that we could experiment on that could eradicate our current diseases?
Then do it in space is what I'm saying. What's the problem with experimenting in space?
Well, the environment,
or you have to see that. Oh, I can't do it in space because space is not the optimal environment. I got to bring Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So then build shit on Mars that's similar to Earth and do that shit on Mars.
Because that's
okay.
That's easy and cheap.
You know what?
Hey, listen, they spend billions of dollars on wars for nothing. We got the money, bro. I keep telling you, we got the money.
We run out of money, just make more.
Money's always there. I'm sorry, money's there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for something as far as like, if you're thinking about Mars, I'm saying bring it back because we're planning for the future as far as like, this, as far as to be able to live out there. From the moon, I'm good. Like, we don't need to bring nothing back from the moon. And then
but I don't even bring shit back from the moon.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that's worth it. Because once you get out there, we know right then and there whether or not we're able to live on the moon. Okay, we can't. So then what you want to bring back a piece of the crater and do what? Like, I don't think that shit is worth it. Plus, I don't know, from other countries, I don't know. If I'm bringing back a piece of fucking fruit, how am I fucking with the environment if I'm about to just eat that shit? Like, I ate it while I was out here in the country.
Because you're going to throw the seed on the ground and that shit's going to create something else.
Yeah, bro. Like, people do it. Like, Stupid and I was talking about this last week. People do all the time, bring foreign exotic animals and
the animals I can understand. The animals I can understand, but fruits and vegetables, like, come on, that's a bit overkill.
Nah, the seed gets in there.
No, not really.
Nah.
Yeah, it's not. That's,
Because if you were paying attention when they were checking out fruits and everything during the California boys, they found all types of microbes and all types of bacteria and things that could have been problematic.
Yeah. And now that person breaks out into whatever disease, and that person now is in contact with several other people, and then you got a serious situation in your hand. You got to keep in mind, like, people don't get vaccinated the same globally. So, like,
but these niggas they already ate that shit out in fucking.
And that's assuming that they ate the whole thing.
Or
but I'm just saying, you talking about bacteria. The bacteria.
Oh, but what I'm saying is that's because you traveled over there. You got the proper vaccination to travel over there to be immune to whatever bacteria that's over there. But because you bring it back doesn't mean that I got vaccinated for that.
It's similar to like cross-pollinating shit.
Yeah, like
But the niggas do that shit. But the niggas do
you don't
that
want to
shit.
put this banana with this fucking plantain, bro, because you want to
Yeah.
some other bullshit that you don't even know what it is.
But
That's what it is.
They do that shit for, I don't know, maybe I got it wrong, but
Yeah,
I know
you
when you come back,
shit, look up dragon fruit.
but when you come back from
dragon
fucking,
fruit, shit like
when you come back from islands, them niggas do the same thing. Like y'all niggas gotta claim it or whatever. Like I don't gotta get vaccinated to go to all these fucking islands I'm going to.
No, but that food though, they be on that food though.
That's what I'm saying. So scratch the back.
Nah,
I
you
mean,
can't bring this food, bro. Nah, you gotta throw that shit out.
Fellas, I get
The
this.
food is they remember it's seeds. It's like bringing flour. You can't bring flowers, man, because all that cross pollination shit happens.
And plus, the person that's probably bringing that might say, "Oh, I really love this fruit, or I love this thing, this, that, and the other," and they might bring it here, and then like, "Hey, there's seeds in here. I want more of this."
Yeah, exactly.
And they plant it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fellas, I give this
Because
book.
if they just wanted to eat it, they would have just ate it and been done with. Who's gonna pack up fruit and stuff into their luggage or into?
Oh yeah, they want to bring it
somewhere
so that
else? Like, I'm gonna wait till I get back into the States 8 hours later to eat this piece of fruit. Come on,
Eat
man.
this piece of fruit, yeah.
Or I want to share this with y'all niggas because I've been telling y'all about this shit the whole fucking time. I'm FaceTiming y'all niggas like, damn, bro, that should look good. Yo, bring me one back. Like, fellas,
all right, book review.
I get this book a 3 out of 5. Bro.
All right, pros and cons.
I do like the fact that it had the history of it, of the whole quarantine. I don't know. I just felt like it was a little redundant outside of like once they got to like talking about the moon and I don't know. I felt like a couple of the chapters was just like kind of dragged on.
Okay, you didn't like the length. All right, deuces, Mr. Henry, Mr.
See y'all later.
1045.
All right, man.
Mr. 1049 today.
1049. That boy did 4 minutes extra in a day. He did 4 minutes extra.
Man, Kelly, shit, we got mad questions and he be dipping out. All right, anyway, Black Zoo's second question. In chapter 5, China was able to control and stop the spread of COVID within 3 months, while the U.S. experienced second and third waves of COVID. China traded temporary freedoms for longer stability and security. Isn't this the most logical way to handle a pandemic? Pratt, answer first. Look, man, this Pratt answer first bullshit. First off, I would say this. This kind of, to cut this short, this does go with my question in regards to chapter 9's discussion regarding how they can have more effective quarantining with more invasive technology. So I'm going to try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. China did undergo additional waves, but they didn't have the hospitalization nor the deaths, if you want to trust China, that is, because, you know, China is the most trusting country that we could possibly believe when it comes to their numbers and shit. But on its face, if we want to trust China did this right, it's easy, man. Like, yeah, when you listen, like, it's a communist nation. I think, honestly, is a philosophical debate of liberty and privacy, and where you stand on that. And unfortunately, you know, we just 2 different nations with 2 different ideologies when it comes to this. And I get
time of emergency.
During time of emergency, I would say that, and I think this goes back to my question. If the United States government had done a masterful job compensating motherfuckers during this whole shit, you would have had a much longer quarantine by folks. I think you would have had a more successful quarantine.
Once again, you're expecting a masterful job at something we have never had any precedence for something that we were not prepared for and that we have no precedence for.
Well,
they were.
Go ahead, Smith.
They were trying to prepare for it, and then they disbanded that organization. Obama
absolutely. We got idiots like Trump.
But it was before Trump, because Smith pointed out, Obama disbanded an organization to oversee
that shit because they said something like this being able to happen. You know,
yeah. And like, then you
gotta always have the alien infrastructure. You always gotta have that part of the government. You always gotta have when the aliens come. You have to have that, and the aliens could be here from Earth, so from some fucking, you mix
But the whole
it up,
thing is
or
that contradicts your earlier statement about going to, Mars and all this, that, and the other.
No, that
Because
doesn't
if you're trying to
contradict my
prepare for the
statement.
aliens, you need to go out and do some reconnaissance.
No, it doesn't contradict my thing, because I said you can still do the recon. I said you don't have to bring it back to Earth, is what I said. I said you can do the recon in space.
He said, yes, in space. Build a planet. Yeah.
Like, figure that shit out in space. Build some shit. Y'all motherfuckers say y'all all smart. Build some shit, bruh. This is the fucking, like, we got a bunch of money in this fucking Earth, and we got a bunch of great minds. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, you got to understand, you got motherfuckers flying people to space for fucking money right now. They can build some shit, bruh. Like, we are Americans, and we are smart. We are a good world, and we're not just Americans. We got Africans. We got fucking Sweden. We got a lot of people that got great minds, but they're privatizing shit. So go up there and build some shit, bruh. We don't need to bring that back. Like, that's the real shit. But anyway, I'm gonna answer this question. China didn't trade temporary freedoms. Ain't no freedoms in China. That's one.
That's yeah. You got another ding, Smith.
Yeah, I wanted to say that first.
Yes.
But is that the most logical way to handle the pandemic? Yes, it is. I said that from the beginning. If they could just now, let me say this. Snatching people off the street, I don't agree with that shit.
Yo, the shit that China went through to lock down people was some bullshit.
Yeah, I don't agree with how they
got better results than America did.
Yeah,
bruh.
I do like the result.
You may not like it. It may not be pretty. It may not be, but fuck your feelings.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I do like the result, but the only thing about snatching people is that's when you see people end up missing all of a sudden. You know what I mean? If we know that Black Zeus is this militant motherfucker, now we want to snatch him and make him disappear during this pandemic. So I got some conspiracy shit in me already.
And yes,
from Malcolm and Martin.
I'm just saying. Part in the book that mentioned how governments have taken advantage of
exactly. Using the quarantine.
I'm not denying that, but
yeah, so that's the only part about that
conversation. But the conversation is that when the house is on fire, does everybody get a voice, or do we all follow the firefighting?
I like I said, I think that's still the most logical way to handle it, though. I think that they handled it. I not just, like I said, round the motherfuckers up and shoot motherfuckers.
No, I'm just saying.
I think that it was the most logical way. I think we gave Americans too many, way too many freedoms.
Well, man, look,
doing what I'm not going to do.
China, I just looked up. China had undergone 2 waves. We're approaching our 3rd. Look, man, I don't know if I could really trust China in their in the numbers and data that they be coming out with. Like,
but in their situation, the way they handle things, you don't think that's going to get a better result than the way America handles it?
Yeah, I think that's why I agree with that.
That's like, again, I'm with Smith. I'm sorry, I got to put my thinking conspiracy hat on. I don't trust
conspiracy. I'm not talking about conspiracy. I'm talking about numbers.
Yo,
I'm talking about
all right, let's look at the numbers. What's China's population? You know China's population off the rip?
Shit. I don't know off the rip. I think it's like 3 times ours or 2.5 hours or something like
that. It's over 1 billion. How many COVID deaths China has had? You know that number?
I'm assuming you do.
It's like 5,000. You telling me China only had 5,000 COVID deaths out of over 1 billion people? You really think China is that efficient?
2 billion people.
How many, Smith?
1.4.
4.4 billion. Now confirm how many COVID deaths China had.
America only got 329 million. And India got 1.38 billion, just to say. Now I want to see how many deaths they had. That's a lot of people. But
that's a lot of people.
You gotta remember what they just did with old girl, the tennis player and shit, where she accused them of sexual abuse, and then she went disappearing, and then she resurfaced and said, well, no, she made it all up.
I got my screen showing you the number of deaths, not cases, deaths, that China out of 1.4 billion people has.
Where the deaths at? Oh,
right here. This right column.
Yeah, I see it.
The most deaths came from.
Looking at the top. I'm like, it's 103,000 cases. They don't even got a lot of cases.
They don't even have a lot of cases in that. And this is where the skepticism come in, because if you listen to like senators like Rand Paul, senators like Jim Jordan, and they're saying like, yo, first off, the narrative that the thing I'm about to give this book is how premature this book was written, because they were talking about wet markets. And I understand viruses come from wet markets, but now that we fully know that this virus was kind of created in the lab, that this shit conveniently fucking either were prematurely written. My thing is when the United States Congress people wanted to have the WHO investigated so that the WHO could basically do a better job in going into China, especially in Wuhan, to investigate how this is derived and actually look at China's number. China did not want that to happen. They did not want the world's other nations to go in to their country and figure out exactly what was happening with their cases, what was happening with their deaths. Unlike other nations that really truly showed how they were handling COVID and was allowing other nations to emulate or try to take away from, China was keeping their fucking information on lock and key.
Yeah, because
come on, man. Like, I don't trust what the fuck China is doing.
No, for sure. Because with the numbers and with their economic growth slowed to 7.9%, and with the numbers, why would their growth slow so much? And why would they have to do a big economic recovery if they only had 103,000 people sick
with less than 5,000 deaths, bro?
Like,
come on, man. Thinking cash, bro. Like, you can't, like, you got to understand the relationship that one of the things, I don't think China's lying about a lot of shit. I don't think China's on the up and up in regards of how they handled this virus. I just don't.